Hey everybody, it's Uyak here back in another video. Today we are going to be talking about the embodiment of hate, Faputa, one of the most integral characters of Made in Abyss Season 2. But before we get into that, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for similar anime content in the future. Let's get straight into it. We are first introduced to Faputa in episode 2 of Made in Abyss Season 2, except we're not truly introduced to what her appearance is. All we're introduced to is this shadowy figure that's watching over Reg, Rico, and Nanachi. But in the very next episode, there's this commotion going on in the village, and Reg and Nanachi want to figure out what it is, so they ask Kaja, what is this earthquake? Why is everybody rushing towards this entrance? And this is where Kaja tells us that Faputa, the embodiment of value, is at the entrance, and she is very rare. So all the villagers gather around to look at Faputa. And this is where we get our first glimpse into what Faputa actually looks like. Faputa is this animal that is dark-skinned and has white fur and 3 diamonds on her head. She also resembles a human adolescent in terms of her physique, but we later find out that she is a lot older than she looks out to be. In the next episode, we truly see Faputa in action. Faputa jumps on Reg and starts asking him questions as if she and him are familiar in some way. She then takes Reg away into a cave of some sort, and this is where we find out that Faputa knew Reg before he lost his memories. But Faputa does not truly believe that Reg is Reg at this point and decides to inspect him. And this is where it gets pretty weird. She starts doing some very odd things and inspects him, and eventually Reg gets tired of it and flees away. This is where Reg meets Gabaroon, and Gabaroon is Faputa's interference unit, her companion. Faputa saved Gabaroon's life, and ever since then, Gabaroon and Faputa have been close. But Gabaroon tells Reg that he should leave as soon as possible because he cannot stop Faputa. After this, we don't see any scenes of Faputa until we get to the end of the flashbacks of the Ganja crew. And this is where we learn that Faputa was born of Arumiwi's hatred for these people. A hatred of the treatment that she received. Arumiwi was tortured and tormented by these people and used as a pawn. And because of this, one of her wishes was to get revenge on these people, and her revenge fabricated itself in the form of Faputa. There's a lot of opinions on how Faputa was born. A lot of people think it was the 3rd egg, but this is not the case because we know that Wazukan used this 3rd wish-granting egg on himself. So it very well could be the 2nd egg, wish-granting egg, that Arumi was given by Wazukan. Or it could be the 3rd egg when Wazukan went into Arumi and she transformed all of the villagers, and with that she gained back that egg. But all in all, Faputa was born because of Arumiwi's hatred for these people, in order to get revenge. And that's exactly what she does when she's born. Faputa murders all of the crew members that were by her, all of these villagers. She murdered all of them and fled. Right from her birth, she had this implanted desire to eliminate everybody in this village. That was her one true goal. And before all of this was known, we see Faputa's dedication to her wish, because in the beginning scene of episode 8, Faputa rips off one of her limbs and one of her ears in order to show to Reg that she's completely serious and she'll give absolutely anything to eradicate these villagers. And then in the next episode, we see that Reg actually enters the village with pieces of Faputa, and the village will not allow this because it messes up the balance. This is something that was never expected. This can't exist in the village. So it sends out the village protector, Geromo, to take these away from Reg, and as Reg is fighting Geromo and he defeats him, he actually blows a hole in the wall of the village, and this is what Faputa uses to come into the village. Then Faputa starts eradicating all of the villagers, and then something interesting happens. Reg wakes up and he goes back on what he initially did. So he helped Faputa enter the village to eradicate these villagers. She made that clear. But then once she comes into the village to do this, all of a sudden Reg wants to stop her now. And that's exactly what he tries to do. So Faputa, the embodiment of revenge against these villagers, against the people who wronged her mother, is obviously broken by this, because you have the person that she valued the most, more so than Gabberun, valued the most and felt the most dear to her, double cross her essentially. And we see at the end of the episode, even though Reg beats her, he can't stop her. And I mean, this is just Reg being Reg, I guess here, is that he flip-flops so many different times and then he expects everything to work out. But the truth is that Faputa's sole desire is to kill all of these villagers. That is her purpose in living. So she, of course, gets rid of Reg, doesn't kill him, but puts him out of commission and continues on with what she was doing. The only problem is now since the village is open, the barrier is broken, all of these wild animals can now come in and kill the villagers themselves. Faputa is obviously not okay with this because that's her job. That's her job. And then you have all of these wild animals taking her job. So she tries to fight against these creatures, but they're too strong. Abyss creatures are not weak, so they easily overpower Faputa and kill her over and over and over again. She is immortal, and she can regenerate from the children of Urumui in this village, but the target of her rage, the villagers, are dying, and not by her hands. But unfortunately for Faputa, even though she is strong, she is not strong enough to hold off and kill all of these abyss creatures. So she does get immobilized. And while she's immobilized, she notices that all of the villagers she's hate, or some of them, are helping her. And this starts to have an effect on her. Now, while all of this was happening, Bailiff actually made Faputa see the memories of the past, and this is what caused Faputa to evolve. As an accumulation of seeing the past and witnessing the villagers constantly help her even achieve her goal of murdering them, which is honestly pretty weird, she can't understand it, and this causes her to evolve into this creature with gold streaks and have a completely different mentality, and she gets a power boost of some sort, where now it seems as if she can choose whether or not to kill the villagers. She has overcome that boundary. And even after evolving, Faputa makes it clear to the villagers that her goal is still to destroy the village, but she's not just killing them on sight anymore. They actually work together to kill all of the monsters, and Faputa actually accomplishes her goal of destroying the village. But she has one last person to confront, who is Vuako. Vuako was the closest person to Urumui. Faputa knows this because she saw the memories of the past. Faputa had no memory of Vuako. Vuako was this anomaly. She was the closest one to Urumui. So obviously, Vuako is going to be valued by Faputa, the embodiment of hate for these villagers, as Vuako was the only one who tried to put a stop to the madness that was happening to Urumui. And unfortunately, during the village's destruction, Vuako happened to ascend. From being too accumulated to the village's barrier, Vuako thought she could walk up and ascend. But what happened is she got gravely injured, which eventually causes her to die. But in her last moments, Faputa is cherishing her because she knows that this person was the closest to her mother, Urumui, and she has love for Vuako. And after all is said and done, what does Faputa have left to do? I mean, her sole purpose was to get revenge for her mother, Urumui, and she's done that. She accomplished her goal. That was the reason why she was even created to begin with. So now what is she to do? Well, she had that past relationship with Reg, and Reg, Rico, and Nanachi now accept Faputa into their crew, and she joins the crew. Faputa starts off as this individual who essentially has the hate for everything. I mean, you're being generous calling her an individual. She was essentially a rabid wild animal. We've seen this in various different scenes, and this developed through the help of Reg and Gabaroon to the point where she is coherent and human-like. And this all comes to a climax when she finally has the opportunity of fulfilling her sole desire of eliminating this village and the villagers. But then that's taken away from her by the wild creatures of the abyss. And as she's dying, the villagers come to help her, which makes her come to the realization, with the help of Bailiff's vision into the past, that not all of these villagers are bad. She doesn't have to hate every single villager. She doesn't have to follow her destiny of destroying the village. She can change it, and that's exactly what she did. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for similar content in the future. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought about Faputa and Made in Abyss Season 2. I will see you in the next video.